And good morning and welcome back to the live daily huddle. Yesterday, in respect, there was no live. We didn't even do a reboot.
We took the day to pay respects to MLK and take the day away, which was great. But glad to be back, glad to be live. Good morning with everybody. Jonathan Aaron's great post this morning. Love to see the get on the ball training happening. What do you say, Shay?
Study up, Jonathan.
Yeah, he's like, I got to figure out a way to fill in the blank, to answer the fill in the blank questions. I'm like, yeah, it's hard, baby. It's hard. It's supposed to be hard.
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Great. Really,
so it's
really
awesome stuff. Good morning, D. Robinson, Donna Goldfarb, Jody, John. Good to see everybody. Look at this. Everybody hopping in with the good mornings, like they're ready to roll this weekend. Or this week.
Nicholas Mao is here. It's going to be a good day when his schedule clears.
I love it. I saw that he had posted something about his morning routine as well. He had posted a picture of him like taking some Zen time in the pool, which was super cool. And good morning to Scott McGregor, of course, because we are looking forward to being a part of the Outlier Project this afternoon. Get to go on there and be a part of the author spotlight. So that's noon this afternoon. Excited for that.
So, Shay, do you have the picture that Scott posted this morning?
It's all classic.
Working on it. Hold on.
Classic picture.
Working on it. Like that means no. It's just so for everybody. For everybody in our huddle, Scott is one of the warmest, kindest, giving human beings I know. I was fortunate to meet him years ago. He has put together a collection of books called Standing O. I was fortunate enough to be asked to write a chapter in the original. I wrote that chapter, Who Would I Give a Standing O To? Which I would give a standing O to my grandfather because he was the most badass human being I ever knew. And then, wouldn't you know, years later, he continues the series and asked Mark to do it. And Jake is on tap for the new one this next year. So
I got to write mine about you. There's the picture of Scott doing his best Steve Nudelberg impression, which is absolutely fantastic.
That was like a Halloween post that he had done. But I can't wait to be interviewed by him. He has these great series. He puts amazing speakers in place for his Outlier group. And we are the kickoff for January, which I will tell you is the most humbling thing ever, man.
The roster of people that are going to be on deck for him this year, it's an honor to be able to kick off that experience. I'm excited to get to share the stage with you, if you will, today.
I thought about it this morning, and I don't necessarily think I'm going to share the stage. I think what I'm going to do is ride co-pilot and let people hear the story through your lens. I'm sure Scott will direct it.
Yeah, Scott's the maestro, so
he's outstanding, man. But all great stuff. If you join us this afternoon, we'll keep plugging the link. It's just a really great group of people. When Scott started it, a lot of the huddlers, wound up going there. So it'll be great to see everybody. Great to get in that. You got to mention last night, Dallas and Tampa, just for shits and giggles. I personally believe you saw the last game that Tom Brady played.
I disagree with you. I think that he is going to play until they wheel him off the field. I think, and this is my opinion, but of watching what's transpired, that man has through his actions said that nothing is more important than football. Nothing. Right? Family,
wife, right?
Gave up his wife, gave up any kind of other profession, right?
Like, would say no to Giselle.
Right. And he said no to a very lucrative, commentator career. So I don't think there's anything that's going to pull him away other than the physical inability to not be able to do it anymore. But also we have to talk about the Cowboys kicker, right? And like, first of all, the scenario that they're in, because rosters are locked. So like you're in the playoffs. You can't go get somebody out of free agency right now. So like your kicker just went 0 for 4. You're going to go on to the next round of the playoffs. Like you got to start thinking a whole strategy of like, do we not kick it at all ever?
Do not kick it. You know, Kershaw said, all right, you miss 1, you miss 2, 3, you're never kicking again today. Go. Take a shot.
Right.
Unbelievable. So
crazy.
I just want to reiterate, my wish is that Tom Brady takes a hint, takes a clue, and says, yeah, could I do it? Yeah, there are teams that will be interested in him, but he's going to tarnish the legacy, which a lot of guys have. Joe Namath retired as a Ram, you know.
Yep.
It was pathetic.
Montana did it. Favre did it. You know, Favre was on the Jets, was on the Vikings. Like, you know.
Mark, you're the special teams coach. Scotty Garber, a family member.
You know, Scotty Garber makes a great point there, which you know it is 1,000% all mental for him at that point. And so it's not about going out and getting extra kicks. It's not about like fixing the technique. It's mental. You got to get him some confidence. So you got to get back out to practice. You got to speak confidence into him. You know, you can put together a highlight reel for him of all the kicks that he made throughout the year. The worst thing you could do is go out there and go try to outwork it and wear yourself out and then not have a leg for Sunday. So there's plenty of different ways through visual and audible to be able to help breathe, you know, give him some confidence. But that's all it is you got to get confidence back into him.
I mean, you see the look on his face, man. It was, I was tortured for that human being. I really was. And it's just like, once your brain is bad, and you know, we can relate this to business. If your brain is that bad, stay in bed. You know, you're not doing anybody any good. You got to fix your brain first, and then the mechanics come along with it. You know, it's all upstairs. So we got a great show today. It is International Mentor Day. I want to get to the point where we discuss the difference between a mentor and a coach. I think that'll be real interesting. But I'm going to call an audible. We're going to get into what you posted this morning. Shay, wake us up, get us going. We got a big crowd this morning. Let's go. And here we are. We are on the air. We're live. I want to call an audible, go off our content that we wrote, and I want to go with you, what you posted this morning, victimhood versus victim. Unpack that for us, my son.
Yeah, so being a victim is that's uncontrollable. Bad things happen to you. People become victims of crimes by no fault of their own, but the victimhood is how you allow that circumstance or that event or that person to then control the narrative, control the response. And I look at it as giving power, right? Like, you either become powerless to the thing that happened to you, or you maintain the power, you retain the power, and you use that power towards creating a response to it. And I think there's a lot of times in the coaching that I do where I'm not working with the CEO, I'm working with somebody inside of the organization, and they are a case where they're exhibiting victimhood to the organization they're in, to the circumstances they've been surrounded with, right? So, and they have a whole case of the poor me's. So, to me, it was just a top of mind topic that I've been working on for a little while with people, and I think it's important for people to understand the difference. Is you can be a victim, but you don't have to have victimhood. It's all right. Bad shit happens, and it's okay to accept that bad things happen. But if you allow that bad thing to transpire, which is exactly what happened last night to that kicker, It's a great example.
Is he a victim or is he a victimhood? What's,
He allowed the first kick to move into the second kick and move into the third kick, and he wasn't able to just control the response, right? And the best thing you can do in order to be able to control the response is create separation. Create separation from yourself and the event. You got to have some space to be able to think about what happened, process what happened, take something away from it in order to be able to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, Scott hits it right on the head. It actually pushes responsibility to everybody else and saying, I know I can correct this. I got to do whatever it takes. For me, every time I had a scenario like this, whether it was in my own businesses or coaching somebody else or sharing some information, I would always go, at the end of The Wizard of Oz, man, she clicks her heels. She had the power all along, man.
Right.
You have the power all along. It's not easy. Sometimes your friends are enablers. They just enable you to go on and on and on. It's like, hey, I don't want to listen to your bullshit. Do something about it.
There was somebody who put a post out about the original Space Jam movie and how, that they were playing with Michael Jordan and they wanted some of the secret sauce. And Jordan was like, what do you mean secret sauce? He's like, the stuff. And so they give like this placebo bottle of water that they write secret sauce on. And all of a sudden they all start playing so much better, but they weren't any different. It wasn't anything secret. They had it inside of them. And I think that's always the case, regardless of what the circumstances are or what happens to you, whether you miss a big kick in a game, whether you screw up a presentation, whether it's outside of your control, whether the person that is directly responsible for you at work put you in a bad position, it is still your responsibility to control the response for that and your ability to do something moving forward with it. And so I asked the question at the end of the post, I said, what are you giving power to? Are you giving power to other people? Are you giving power to the circumstance? Are you giving power to the environment? Or are you giving power to yourself? You get to choose in every scenario where you give the power.
God, I absolutely love that. So we will move through today because it is International Mentoring Day. So we'll talk a little bit about mentoring, but I couldn't think of a better motivational music than Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh.
So wasn't the most upbeat music, but it was too appropriate. It actually makes me really proud because I think my responsibility was to teach you. I think, that to me is the number one responsibility. It always was. So whether you call it parenting, mentoring, coaching, I think it's all wrapped up in the same thing. I read an article that gave me the differences between mentoring and coaching. And if I read it to you, listen to this. Mentoring is a learning relationship, generally focused on long-term career development. Primary purpose is to drive personal growth, building skills, knowledge, and understanding. Mentors may use coaching skills in their conversations. What? Like coaching in a business environment is primarily focused on assisting people with their current performance.
So,
somebody took the time to write that. And
drawing the difference between a mentor and a coach, I think, is a little irrelevant. Like, to me, every coach that I was ever around that was worth a salt became a mentor to me, right? Yeah, they were coaches in the term of they could coach a specific tactic or they could coach a specific thing. But if they were a good coach, they made for a good mentor. So, I mean, I think in your life, sure, you have different kinds of roles. Like, my mentor might not be coaching me on my business development practice. They might not be coaching me on specific tactics. They might be helping me more as a board of advisory role and the oversight and the major strategy of what's happening. But ultimately, coaching is coaching. You're either helping somebody get better or you're not.
So I love that. And I believe that. I think mentoring is less formal. Coaching is much more formal. Coaching has a fee associated with it.
Sure.
Okay, I get that. I'm going to professionally invest in myself to get better. Some of the greatest mentors I've had, there's no money involved. There's a willingness to share time, a commonality. Warren Struhl was a great entrepreneur, is a great entrepreneur who sort of gave me direction. Arnold Thaler, God rest his soul. When the cell phone business was exploding, I walked into his office and I go, dude, I am way over my skis. I don't know what the hell is going on. And he said, sit down. Sit down. And I don't know if you remember, Arnold, but it was like,
of course.
Yeah, I got something to say to you. So what makes a good mentor coach? There's a list here, but I love going through this shit.
So what I think make good coaches are people that have a system, and this wasn't in there in the beginning. Like, they have experience. Yeah, experience is great. If you can teach me from your experience, that's awesome.
Hold on there, because I want you to do this. Your success is based on your experience actually coaching people.
Correct.
Your desire to make them better. You actually did it. You honed your craft. Listen, the barrier to entry, I did a list the other day of all the kind of coaching there is. You can be any kind of coach you want without a credential. Oh, hey, you know what?
Right.
I just got fired and I'm going to be a coach tomorrow. It's like, what?
But I think what makes coaches really good is the ability to then navigate how you implement that within another individual.
Right.
Because it's not one size fits all. It's never going to be that way. So there has to be a backbone and a skeleton that doesn't move. There's got to be some basic principles and things that are non-negotiables, but the way you get somebody else to adopt that behavior, or the way you help somebody, adapt that philosophy into their life and then make it practical. The best coaches are the ones who understand how to do that and variances of that based on the individual. Whereas you have a coach or a leader or a mentor that just says, this is the way it has to be done. It's the only way that it gets done. And there's no kind of, give to them.
Yeah. So for me, it has to be repeatable. Like, I had success. I was really the kind of leader at that point in my career where I was like, what the hell's the matter with you? Just do what I do.
Right.
I'm successful doing this, do what I do. That doesn't work. So you have to be able to transfer your skill sets, transfer your process, and let somebody understand it and develop it in their own frame. So
Yep.
I think what you experience, what you see in great coaching, and for me, being around Don Shula, being around Dave Wannstedt, being around Nick Saban, all those guys, you see they're very process driven. So I always go back to this, man. Would you get in the car with someone who didn't know how to drive?
Right.
Like, hey, I'm going to learn.
No, you absolutely would not, right? Like,
absolutely would not.
There are people who have a license who I don't get in the car with.
So why would you hire anybody in your life who you don't want to get to where they are? So for me, all of these things, open mind, caring attitude, all of that shit, which is for me is soft and fluffy. You got to say, you did it. Can you teach me how to do it?
Correct.
Really simple.
Yep.
If you didn't do it, like nobody checks. I mean, some of the stuff that's on LinkedIn of what people are telling you to do, it's, we share it and get a laugh out of it, but it's criminal. It's like, literally, man, are you serious? DM, you need to send 50 DMs a day. Like, what?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Somebody asked me the other day, like, how do you know that this works or whatever? And I was like, because I do it every day. Right. I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is the process that I'm teaching you. The system that I teach people is exactly what I put into practice every single day. So I'm not teaching you something that somebody else taught me that I have no idea whether or not it works. I'm just passing on the information. I'm in the practice of it every day. And so I think, the other part, going back to my post today, is I've never been around a good coach or a good mentor that had victimhood or that believed they were the victim ever. Right? Like, any good coach or any good mentor that I've ever been around has always been that person that helps you deal with the adversity and see the way out, find the way out, helps you own your responsibility within whatever it is. It might not have been any responsibility to what actually happened, but it's the responsibility to creating the action moving forward. So there is something in there that, like, when I look at people who are coaches or who are leaders, and I look at the language they use, I look at the way they present information, that's a big red flag for me. If I see people making excuses, pointing fingers, which, like, you could look at the leaders of our country and be like, why does everybody point fingers? Well, why is everybody trying to be the victim in this situation and not taking responsibility?
Yeah. So, for me, the greatest example that I show people, because they ask me the same question. Well, how come you're so confident that it works? Well, I took a guy who was 34 years old and was never in a sales job, never was in a business job. He worked in coaching football and said, Dad, can you teach me how to do this? By the way, thank you, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Teach your children. What a thrill for me to get to teach you and see you do it and have you be better than me. Right. And here's the real paradigm that coaches need to get straight. If you really, really believe in what you do, you got to be invested in the people that you coach and their success. And their success can be greater than yours.
Right.
Holy shit, man. You're talking about victimhood. I think it's self-sabotaging. I think a lot of coaches don't give everything they have to it because they're afraid, oh my God, they're going to take my advice. They're going to hit a big deal and they're going to be the billionaire on the yacht. Shit, you want validation to work? See that guy? I did that.
Or the people that are on the other side of that have that leader that's not coaching them or holding back from them. How you as an individual don't apply the victimhood to that, take responsibility for that and say, fine, I'm either going to find a way to go around this person, or I'm going to find a way to go through this person, or I'm just going to find another lane to go do what I need to do. But that, to me, is taking the responsibility for it. And just great conversation. Great
Hey, could you do me a favor? I got one more comment. Could you give me some overtime?
Yeah, overtime. Let's go.
And we'll go to overtime.
So we brought this up in a previous huddle, so it's not new, but I want to redo it. Reverse mentoring, so we are at the point in our relationship where everything you've learned matched with your experience can coach me. My limiting behavior, right, can be overcome by your, why don't we just do this? This is great. I see it differently than you. So what's fascinating is that Jack Welch was the one who coined that term in the 90s. And the way they put the list together of qualifications for this is what real coaching is: defined expectation, agreed upon rules, willingness to learn, trust, and transparency. Bang! Drop.
Yeah, there you go. There are your basic fundamentals to a successful coaching / mentoring relationship, regardless of who's doing what, right? And really, I think it should work in both ways. I think if you're in a relationship where somebody is guiding you, you never know where there's opportunity to offer guidance back to them. And the only way that that's possible is if there's trust, transparency, and that kind of communication.
This is a great comment. Unless you're coaching an asshole, which, by the way, we have a no asshole rule.
Right.
We're not doing that. We know up front. Like I ask people, this is so great, Jonathan. I ask people, have you ever had a bad client engagement? And they go, oh, yeah. I go, when did you know it was a bad client engagement? In the first 30 seconds, man. They gave you the red flags, but all you saw was green, man. I want dollars. I want dollars. If you don't do it for the money and you do it because it's a fit, great things happening. So this is a cool topic. Congratulations to all people. Congratulations to everybody who is in a parenting, mentoring, coaching role. You are affecting lives in a way you cannot qualify. And so, join us today because I learned a lot from Scott McGregor. I think he's a unique human being who, just so you know, and this is if you need more incentive, I got introduced to him. We had a conversation, and the following day I jumped on a plane and went to New York to have lunch with him.
The guy you needed to meet.
The guy, I said, you're somebody I want in my life, and I did it. So unbelievable huddle. We had huge numbers today. Thank you for being along for the ride. Hopefully we see you at noon, and if not, we are back here, and Jake Nudelberg joins us tomorrow.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.